Over the last month or so, I've been over here in the shopping district building an 18-hole crazy golf course, which is now finally finished. And it looks like Stam has already smashed my scores both on the strokes and on the time trial, so we might have to do something about that at some point. But there's also some full playthroughs of the course over on my second channel from a recent live stream. I played a game with Stam and a game with Eggs, and I also attempted some speedruns. It was a lot of fun, so do go check those out if you want to see full playthroughs of the course. While I was building this course, however, there was also something else I had to build, and that was these two temporary farms. One for ice, which was, well, pretty bad to be honest with you. It worked for a short time, gave us some ice, and then everything died and escaped. It wasn't the best. And we also made one for bees, which has been working an absolute treat. So I think it's about time we built proper farms for these things back at our main base, maybe open a shop or two, because I've spent all my diamonds on the golf course. We're pretty much broke right now. And first up, I think we're going to tackle the bees. So I'm just going to wait for night time, and then all the bees are going to go back into their nests, and we can get those collected up. Although there's quite a lot of them, we're going to need shulker boxes too. So let's see if we've got any in our van outside. We do. Wonderful. But either way, I've still got to dismantle both of these farms. So while we dismantle those, I have some news.
We interrupt this program with breaking news.
So I'm currently in the process of moving house, which sadly means videos may be a little bit less frequent over the coming weeks, but we'll be sure to get out at least one a week during that time. And then I have a baby arriving, which I'm very excited and very terrified about. And I have no idea how that's going to go, but if I disappear for a few weeks, you know why. Once things settle down though, we are going to be starting a brand new solo series, which I'm incredibly excited about. And that does mean that we'll be unlikely to return to the Perfect World 2 series in its current form. I've had a lot of people asking about it, but sadly it just didn't perform very well. And with the amount of time and effort put into each video to plan and build the rides, it became unsustainable. I mean, this is my job after all. That's not to say it won't be seen again in a different form. Maybe we could continue it in creative mode so we can actually make progress and build a full park, because I do still really want to run around in a full theme park, but I don't know. Let me know your thoughts below. I know some of you absolutely loved that series, but sadly, I think it was a bit too niche for most. But anyway, that's enough waffle. The important things to take away are slower videos for a month or two, and a brand new big old solo series on the way before Christmas, which will of course run alongside this SMP series. Lots to get excited for. Now let's get the rest of this done and go plan a honey factory. Now, let's get our van offloaded. That should be offloading everything. No? Oh, there we go. Wonderful. Let's get that van emptied, and I guess let's go find somewhere to put down a honey farm factory thing. Quite nice to be back here, actually. And I guess the first question is, where do I want to put it? I mean, I could put it over here somewhere, but I feel like maybe I should stick with this cluster of factories over here for now. I mean, there's a good spot here. Maybe we could use that, because this doesn't want to be a particularly big farm, so maybe this could actually work quite well. So to make the most out of this space, how about we do something like this, maybe a big L-shaped building, and then we can have a little yard out the back here. So if that's the main part of the building, how about we actually set this back a little bit, and maybe just something about that size I reckon should work nicely. But I reckon that's going to be enough for an apiary probably on this side. Lots of bees. I've got an idea of what I want to do on the inside of this. It should be pretty cool. And there's not much processing to be done, so we can probably just do that in this building here. And we've got a pickup area over here, so that should work quite nicely. Let's just get this foundation filled in, shall we?
Hey, Beardy.
Jeez, scared the life out of me.
I'm good at that, man.
So it seems. How you doing?
I'm doing okay. I'm doing all right. I'm starting my first absolutely massive build for my quote-unquote mega base, right?
Nice.
Dude, I'm so excited to get this started because I've had visions of sugar plums dancing in my head for way too long, and I'm glad to get one in the world. I'm having a bit of a problem though.
Right. Okay. Ooh, what's the problem?
So let me just open up this here. You don't happen to have over 200 stacks of andesite and 130 stacks of diorite by chance, do you? 200 stacks of andesite. Yeah, roughly. Yeah. Here, you wanna see? That's not the big one either.
Right. Let me have a look. I'll see what this guy's got. In fact, I can see on here. I've got 56,000 andesite apparently in the system.
Oh my gosh.
so I can probably do your andesite.
Okay.
What was the other one?
Diorite.
Okay, so I've got 100 stacks over here.
Okay.
And I might have more at my base.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Cool.
Yeah. I see a money-making opportunity.
Oh, no. So everybody's making wood farms, so I'm not making money, though.
Tell me about it. I built a redstone factory, and I was like, oh, redstone's really annoying to make. No one's going to make that. And then literally everyone made redstone factories. Unbelievable.
Speaking of which, I gotta buy some redstone.
Excellent. If it's any consolation, I have no tree farms and have no intention of making a tree farm and have been buying lots of your wood.
Well, thanks. I appreciate that. Here, take a look at the last page on that real quick. I want you to see the number for the white concrete there.
That's a lot of white concrete.
I gotta go sell my soul to Chosen.
What are you possibly building that requires 22,000 concrete?
You want to go take a look?
Oh, you already building it? Have you already got
I have
the
the
concrete?
schematic. I got the schematic. You can just plop that down and take a look.
Oh no! I'll wait for the proper build. I'll wait for the proper build, Throwlasher. I don't want to see a ghost version of this 22,000 concrete. That's just the concrete.
That's just the concrete, yeah.
10,000 polished cut andesite. 7,000 layered diorite. Jeez. Well,
yeah.
I'm intrigued to know what you're building. I'll tell you that much.
It's big.
Cost-wise, though, 10 diamonds a shulker is what I've been doing for Foxy for the bulk buying of resources. Does that sound fair?
Oh, okay, great. Yeah, that sounds fine.
Right, there we go.
You are a gentleman and a scholar.
Excellent. So that'll be 130 diamonds, please, Throwlash. I'll tell you what, let's just call it 2 stacks.
2 stacks. We can do 2 stacks.
There you go. You get a discount of 2 diamonds because I'm nice like that.
I appreciate you. Well, listen, Beardy, thanks so much for your help. Hopefully I'll be back soon to give you more diamonds.
That sounds wonderful. Let me know. Let me know.
Thanks again, man.
Cool. Toodles. Enjoy your build. Well, isn't that wonderful? We've got loads of diamonds now. Excellent. Right, let's get this foundation done. That's the foundation in, and I think that's going to work quite nicely. But next up, we want to get some actual walls in for this build. And I do have an idea of what I want to do on the inside here. It should be pretty cool. But I don't really know what I want to do with the outside yet. So we're just going to get some walls up and work it out from there, I think. And we're going to use dripstone as the main block. Just something nice and basic like that, but I think that's going to be big enough. We will, of course, put in lots of windows. We're probably actually going to put a different block on the inside, which will make all the walls double thick, but should make it look a bit better. But I think I'm happy with the general size and shape of this, and this bit here is just going to be a little sticky out bit anyway. So I think I'm just going to crack on and get the exterior of this build done. Not all the detail and stuff, but at least just the basic shapes. And then we can make a start on the inside and actually build this bee farm, which is going to be like no bee farm you've ever seen before. And there we go, one fairly basic looking building, at least for now. We'll sort out the outside later, we'll make it all look nice and fancy. But for now, I'm not too concerned with the outside. We've got a shape to work with at least. And on the inside here, as I say, I think in this area here is just where we're going to process the honey. But in this room here, we're going to build a giant apiary. We're going to have free roaming bees everywhere. There's going to be lots of greenery and foliage and natural stuff. It's going to look awesome. But, one moment, it's getting a bit dark in here. There we go, that's better. We can see now. So what I was saying is I want to make this an amazing place for the bees to live, but I also want to give it a little bit of a fun touch, I guess. And in this mod pack, of course, we do have liquid honey, thanks to Create. So I'm thinking, why don't we have some kind of giant honey river flowing down the middle here as well? Just because I can. We can have some nice bridges going over it, maybe some stepping stones or something. And then, yeah, lots of stuff dangling from the ceiling, attached to the walls. It's going to look awesome in here. First up, though, let's figure out where this river's going to go. Maybe just something like that. And I'm thinking we could have like maybe a big pipe or something over here, and that's where the honey's coming down. So we have a big honey waterfall. Then we'll flow it all through here. As I say, we'll have sort of some stepping stones, maybe a couple of small bridges. And then once we get to here, I just want some kind of drain or something that all the honey's going down. So we'll just have a hole like that and we'll put some grills on it. That should work quite nicely. Now let's add a great big pipe up there. And I guess we're going to need a whole lot of liquid honey. So if we were to put a great big pipe in over here, for example, maybe just something like that. And then we can continue the pipe on the outside of the building. And we'll have honey pouring down here in a big waterfall. Yeah, this should look good. Hopefully, maybe. But before we go any further, we're going to need a whole lot of liquid honey. So what we're going to do is grab a bunch of shulker boxes and go and grab the vaults from our honey farm. It's the only bit of the old farm I left behind, and that's because there's probably quite a lot of resources to pick up. Okay, so honey has been acquired. The question is, how do we get liquid honey? I would assume we melt it. Yes, we melt it. So we're going to need a heated basin and a tank to collect it, which is a setup I don't think we have over in our workshop. Yeah, it most certainly is not something we've got. All right, so this machine, I reckon I can probably squeeze it in back here. So let's start off with some belts. Then we need our blaze burners with basins on top, funnels in the back, and a row of tunnels here. And we'll stick a barrel there that's going to have a packager and a frog. So packager there, frog will link up to this. We'll call this machine the melter, I guess. In fact, we should call it Mr. B melter. So we're then going to need mechanical mixers above that. Then we can just fill all of this in. We don't need that to be visible. Okay, so what we then want to do is pipe everything out of these. And we're going to do that by going around here, up and over. Plenty of space, wonderful. We're going to need power for this. And we're also going to need a barrel there with a depot. And then we'll load our coal into there. That's going to deposit 4 at a time, which will be enough for our arm to get all of those. So if we link this up to them 4 and that, stick him there, then that means we just need a shaft there with a cog on the end. That's going to automate that. Now we just need a collection point for whatever it is we're melting. So what I'm going to do is build a tank in here. We're going to put that on a contraption. We're going to glue it all together. We still need a pump. So how about if I remove those two, put a small cog in there with a mechanical pump going that way. That's going to pump out everything that we melt. This is good. Let's just cover up a few more bits of this. The last thing I need to do is just connect up this power. That should be easy enough. Let's just siphon it off of here. And there we go. So that's all now doing its thing. However, what I want to do is put a clutch in here and stick a lever on that, just so we don't have this guy loading up when we're not actually using it. But I'd say that's job done for Mixer. We should now be able to send our honey over here. So let's actually turn that guy on and send loads of honey to the Mixer. Nope, not the Mixer, the melter. That's where we want to send it. Oh, and one more thing I need to do is actually power the belts. That'll be useful. There we go. Now let's quickly get this valve in, and then we'll get that turned on, and there we go. Honey is pumping. But what that now means is once this is full, we can actually just spin the valve and make sure we're not spewing honey everywhere when we take it away. And we have a shiny new machine. Wonderful. Well, that didn't take very long to fill up at all. So let's turn that off. Let's turn off the valve, grab this, and go make a honey river. Now let's just chuck this down here for now. And then we're going to need a couple of pipes here for filling up the river. And something we're actually lacking over here is power. There's no power in this building. Luckily, that should be fairly easy to sort. Yeah, look at that. The closest power is right there. So do I just bring it into the corner of the building and then I can sort of string it up on the inside, can't I? Right, I'm going to need some chain conveyors and some chains. Lots of chains. So if we were to bring the power to here, let's just stick a couple of chutes in, get that attached to this guy. Then we'll attach another one to him. Then on the inside, we'll link that to there. And then from there, I think for now, we'll just run it down the wall and underground. Because then we can have it pop up wherever we need it. Which for now is going to be right over here. So something like that. Oh no, wait a minute. I'm going to need a hose pulley to make this work. What am I doing? Silly beardy. Let's just bring that back up and go get what we actually need. Right, okay. So hose pulley. Let's do that. So we'll put a cog in there and that will power the pump. We just need to lower this right to the bottom. Now this time it should actually fill up the space here. There we go. That's more like it. Although it's still a bit dark in here, let's just crank up the brightness. Wonderful. And hopefully we brought enough honey with us, but I guess we'll find out in just a moment. Well, good news, we did have enough honey. Excellent. I need a couple of buckets, however, because I need to remove some honey from this side so we can put the grate in, and I need to create the honey waterfall. Right, so let's grab a bunch of this honey. I'm going to turn this off for now, just so it doesn't refill when I remove the grates. And what I want to do is maybe remove a little bit more honey here, and then when we grab all this, it should start flowing. And we want it to flow a little bit further than that, so let's put some back. Something like that, maybe? I'll have a little play around with that later. For now, let's get the waterfall in. Or the honey fall, I should say. And we can clear all of this up as well. So let's just clear up all of this power stuff. We don't need that there anymore. All right, that's not a bad starting place. Now I guess it's just time to start adding stuff. Very technical, I know. And I think I maybe want to put like a balcony type area in here, which means we're going to need some stairs to get up. So maybe we could have those sort of start here and go over this gratey rivery bit. Let's just start placing blocks and see what happens. Oh, I smashed it. So I started by installing some stairs and then put a balcony along the top section using trapdoors and other wooden components with some chains and things just to make it look good and hang from the ceiling and kind of integrate into the building better. I then decided to do a raised platform next to the river, which I then put some tables and shelves and other bits and bobs around just to busy it up a little bit. I then grabbed a whole bunch of leaves and started scattering them about in a few places just to get an idea on how it could potentially look. And this is how we're now looking at the moment. So if you imagine there's also going to be bee nests scattered about through here, that means we're going to need to integrate some pipes. But because our walls are double thick, I think we can actually do that quite nicely. So I'm going to dig out some bits of the wall here. I'm going to get some pipes all through this bit. And for now, I'm just going to place honey blocks where I think I want the bee nests to go. I don't want to have bees flying around while I'm still working in there because I'll probably accidentally end up hitting them. And no need for you, sir. That's it, yeah, you burn. There we go. So we can have pipes running through the walls at the back. All of these blocks here are going to be bee nests. I've also added some more flowers and foliage down here. I still need to get some lights in, however. But for a first section, I think that's coming along nicely. What I need to consider now, though, is we also want to make sure we're collecting honeycomb, which means I'm going to need some bee nests that are kind of situated on the floor somewhere. Maybe like there, but I'm also going to need to shear them, so I guess I could probably actually just put the droppers down here, right? I think that would work. I mean deployers. That way we can actually have the deployer reach through this block and shear this. Then we can just collect everything direct from those and run it underground into the building over there. And I guess that means we can just sort of have these ones randomly scattered about. Maybe just something like that. Then we can get more flowers and foliage in. We can get lots of stuff coming down off the walls. And then maybe over here we can just have a couple of storage vats or maybe just some big piles of honey blocks and things. That could look quite nice. And then upstairs, more foliage, more nests, and so on. I think this place is going to look pretty good when we're done. We're done. And I think it looks pretty good. We do, of course, still need to get all of the bees in, and we need to do the whole factory thing over here. And apologies if it's getting more and more echoey as this video goes on. That's because my office is getting more and more empty as I prepare for the move. I dread to think what it's going to be like by the time we get to the end of the video. But anyway, over here, we've now got a bunch of places where we're going to be putting the nests. So we've got 6 spots here. Each of them also has a barrel next to it with a hopper below it. If we just take a little look under here, you can see we've got a hopper that feeds into a deployer. And then we've got a funnel there that deposits the bee wax onto belts. So we've actually got 3 belts under here. They all converge over here somewhere. And we need to actually direct that over to there, I guess. But that's the next step. For now, I really want to see what this place looks like with a whole bunch of bees in here. So now all I've got to do is find where I put them. I'm hoping they're in my van here. Nope, doesn't look like it. There's just a shulker box in there. Well, let's just hope that I actually put them in main storage then, shall we? Aha, we've got a bunch of shulkers with stuff in. Cardboard swords. Nope, no bees in there. Did I put it in my ender chest? Aha, bee nest. There we go. So we should be able to just break these and start placing nests. And I have done some testing, and although bees don't get on with water, they're absolutely fine with honey. The honey doesn't affect them. They can fly right through the waterfall. Everything's fine. So I can assure you they're going to live a wonderful life out here and not have to worry about getting caught up or drowned. Yeah, look at that. Looks much more alive. And there's nothing in here that can harm the bees. We've got a safe door so that we can get in and out without worrying the bees too much. And you may notice I've also kept this area clear of all things that the bees will like in an effort to keep them away from the door, but this guy seems to be proving me wrong right now. But in general, it looks like they're all having a wonderful time. We've still got all these bee nests left over, but I don't really want to put those down as well because I don't want to have too many bees in here. They are entities after all, and entities cause lag. But we should have more than enough here to have a fairly good farm going. And speaking of which, we need to sort out a delivery system. So we've got the pipe here, which means we're going to need space for a pump, which I'll be honest, we can probably hide in the walls here. We'll have a big tank to store the honey, then we need to turn a bunch of it into blocks, and then over this side we need to make wax blocks and candles. And I think that's basically everything honey related, apart from bottles of honey, but I don't really want those, mostly because I can't be bothered to make all the glass bottles for it. So factory side of it, first things first, let's get all of the beeswax that's going to be getting harvested brought over to here. And of course I am also going to need to load up the barrels with some shears, but let's sort out where the wax is going to go first, which means we need to go underneath here, but I don't want to create an escape route for the bees, so maybe we should start from here. So let's just dig down a few blocks, let's turn up our brightness so we can see what we're doing, and let's go find the end of that belt. It's over here somewhere. Oh, there's a river. That tells me we need to go a little bit lower. There we go, I've found the belts. So I do need to put some tunnels on here just to make sure that everything actually goes onto this belt. So let's quickly do that now before I forget. Then we'll just add some chutes, we'll run some belts this way, and then we'll put everything into a vault up here. But let's go get those tunnels. Future Beardy here, interrupting. At this point in the episode, I actually went to make a cup of tea, and apparently I forgot to hit record when I returned. So once again, it's replay mod to save the day. So it all started with a creeper explosion, but then I added those tunnels I mentioned and continued the conveyor belt line up to the factory room where I installed a vault. On the other side, I installed a tank to collect the honey from the nests, loaded up the apiary with shears, and was now ready to start processing this stuff. First up, I realised I could make honeyed apples, so I added a spout and a depot for just such a thing, then pumped the rest of the honey into a basin, which then processed the liquid honey into blocks and stored them in a vault. On the other side, my plan to make candles quickly went out the window when I realised I needed string. So instead, we separated the honeycomb into two streams, one to make blocks and the other to leave raw so that we could manually make candles and beehives in future. I then splashed some honey all over the place for decoration, and here we are, a finished factory. Well, a finished interior, at least. And how are our bees doing? Wonderful. This looks like such a happy place to be. No pun intended. So, although the interior is looking good, we've still got a big problem, and that's the outside of this building. It's looking pretty rough and ready, to be honest. So I need to sort out this entire car park area here. Ooh, there's a trader. 3 leads. I need to have a big pipe coming out the back here, which means I should probably contain this area a little bit as well. And then in some places, we just need a little bit of detail, like this wall here, for example. We go, that's looking much better. We've just basically got a few leaves, we've got our car park, we've got some stuff stacked up outside, and I've added a few bits and pieces to the walls. So now all we need to do is let all of the honey build up in here, make sure our bees are still having a wonderful time. Yep, lovely. And then once this is built up a bit more, we'll finally be able to open a shop. But sadly, that is all I've got time for today. Sorry, it's a bit of a shorter one compared to usual, but well, as I say, I've got a lot going on in real life right now. But I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye now.